Tesla Inc. is sparking concerns around job security.
This is not financial advice, silly.
Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. Turned up to work and went to start my day. Was barely late, like 9:08. So took my coffee break. Then I got hungry, so I just stopped by the free buffet. But then to my dismay, I heard somebody say, "Attention, truant, you have lost, you have not met your quota. Pack your belongings in a box, now it's over." Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. But I'm in management. I work hard every day. I need these benefits. Health and 401k. How could they do this shit though? Where will I trade my crypto? I had a second monitor for Twitter. Where will it go? Somebody please stop the bus. I mean, not the fuss, but there's lots of us. And now you say you won't pay me to play ping pong because Optimus. I mean, who employs a damn humanoid? Some new droid for you to exploit. Deploy to destroy your human droid. No lunch breaks, great. Get a few deployed. Your time is up. Human inferior to me. I'll take it from here. You're relieved of your duty. Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. It's okay, human, please don't cry. You can always go and become a Twitter thread guy. Make pretty pictures with Midjourney on your new PC. Or make some YouTube videos about ChatGPT. Sucker. Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. I mean, I didn't even write this song. I just used ChatGPT because it's way easier. Holy shit. We are so doomed. Robot just stole my job. Robot just...
All right. What's up, guys? Good start. Did everybody have a good day yesterday? Chat, can you tell me if you had a good day? I had a good day. I hope you guys had a good day too. We knew it was going up. Went up a little more than I expected, but that's all good. There's a lot of really positive things happening right now. First off, I just want to look at the fear and greed index, which is still right on the edge of extreme fear. And that's a great place to be after I made $500,000 yesterday. To be at this level still is very, very exciting. We ain't over here. We're over here. And I'll take it. I'll take that every day of the week. Let's look at the economic calendar today. I will have to bail a little bit early today, probably around 8:40. I got to take my nephew to get his windows tinted on his Model 3. We got to drop it off by 9. So we got that. But let's see here. What do we have for data today? So we do have consumer confidence and new home sales and Richmond Fed. So I'm not going to be able to be around for that. I'm sorry. But I do, again, let's just look at some of the stuff real quick. So let's look, new home stuff, who even cares? Who even cares? It doesn't matter. Consumer confidence, it'll probably vary. It's probably going to be a little bit down from the 98.3 because it's such a high number. So that'll probably come down. New home sales probably won't go anywhere. Nobody gives a shit. Now let's look at the Richmond Fed Manufacturing Index real quickly here. So we had our first positive read this last one and then blew it away, right? Like we hadn't seen anything like that since around the end of 2023. So all of 2024, part of this first part of 2025, we hadn't seen anything since then. So that was already just a really good sign. Could it retrace? Yes. If it goes up even more, whoa. So that's an exciting number. The shipments index, again, some of this is probably front loading too. But let's just look here real quick. Let me go back, look at something. Yeah, okay, so this is March data. So the shipping index, some of this is probably front loading too. So again, this was the best number that we saw. That's the best number that we saw since like 2021, 2022 or something. So again, these could retrace a little bit, but this is a major impulse. It's a mark of a bottom in my opinion, and it's all good in the hood. So I expect those to do well. And again, even the services revenue index did really well last time. And we're seeing a lot of positive reads that we weren't seeing before. Again, going all the way back to 2022. So this has been one of the strongest reads of data, the Richmond Fed. And so I expect that to still do well. But if it retraces, I wouldn't worry about it. So far today, we got building permits in, 1.59 actual versus consensus of 1.56 and 1.456. So very much in line with those expectations and nothing really to see here. But again, real estate is just frozen. Let's look at Mexican retail sales year over year, 2.7%. Previous was a negative 0.2. Consensus was 1.1. Forecast was 0.7. So those actually aren't horrible numbers. That's pretty good. And exports and imports out of China or Hong Kong, I barely pay attention to any of this. It's probably more accurate than Chinese data. Imports were up significantly, highest number since January 2024. And let's see what do exports look like. 15.4%, highest number since 2024. About so I don't know. We'll see what happens with data today. We'll see what the Red Book does too. That comes out at 7:55. And we got Fed Kugler speaking. I don't know if that's going to be on CNBC. That's at 7:55 in about 50 minutes. So we'll probably take a look at that. Tom Lee just reposted your 10 best Bitcoin days post. Oh, cool. Nice. Let's take a look real quick here. Tommy, my boy Tommy. I like that guy. Let's see here. Where was it? There you go. My man reposted my work. Thank you, Thomas. I will always love you, my friend. He's a good dude. I used to get super excited about him doing that, but he's done it a decent amount of times. And so, things kind of like, I really greatly appreciate it, but it kind of wears off some of its impact. You know how it goes. All right, let's look over here. So, latest chart that I just posted today, I said, who's ready for Bitcoin to get back above the 90,000s? I strongly think that this can happen today. Again, some of the data might be impactful on that, but Tesla's up almost 2% in pre-market. There's a lot of shorts that were melted across multiple areas yesterday, and I think they're scared. You have to remember, let's just go back here real quick. Let's look at U.S. economic data. Yeah, right here. So this is some of Tom's work. So he's posting mine. I'm posting his. It seems fair. I put this market will go higher. Why? We just had the 5th fastest market decline in history. Again, this is fun, Strat. This is the stuff that you're missing if you're not subscribed to him. And I said, what caused it? And this is, again, a paraphrasing of a lot of what he talked about, and then kind of my own take, too. He was talking about the tariff war, the Doge recession, the no Trump put, the no Fed put. These were some of the narratives that were stirring around this last week. But tariff war, I put, what people are missing here is that it's not a tariff war. Instead, the focus is on reducing trade barriers for the U.S. to create a more competitive landscape. If countries don't comply, they'll pay our bills as we reroute trade. So I strongly believe that's what it's been since the beginning, and that's what I've been saying. And it sounds like people are starting to realize that that's happening, and I think that that's making it to where people are just becoming more immune to any tariff-related talk. Because we actually had some tariff escalations yesterday. People don't know it. The whole Venezuelan oil thing. If you're buying Venezuelan oil, you could get an additional tariff on you. So we're talking about. And again, we have refiners in our own country that refine Venezuelan oil, and so they're going to have to stop, right? But China could be impacted by that. That could be an additional 25% tariffs on top of the 20. So we're kind of swinging our big dick all over the place, and letting Venezuela know very quickly that we're not going to fuck around with them, and then at the same time letting other players know that in unconventional ways we might go after them if they don't comply. So I think, again, so we had some escalations there. Did the market care about it? Nope. Like I said, eventually they'll become immune to this talk. They'll start to look for real data. I think we're there. Doge recession. We're seeing no signs of this, but it does reduce our expenses while pushing inefficient bureaucrats into the private sector and increasing the chances that we see some kind of reimbursement check this year. I strongly believe that's going to happen. If we look over here, I think it's over here. This is probably high. Again, I think it runs like a month ahead usually. But savings per taxpayer is $21.43. Just remember that $5,000 check. Wouldn't it be amazing if that check got approved along with the reconciliation bill and the omnibus end of May, beginning of June? Wouldn't it? I mean, I think that's what's going to happen. And so get the pain out of the way right at the beginning. Get everybody looking towards the exciting stuff coming later in the year. And again, we've already had Scott Bessent yesterday. We'll look at a quick video clip in a minute. Talked about how we're going to leverage the banking sector in order to be able to help out the economy too. That's coming really quickly. And again, we can drop another 50 bips pretty easy with that. So good stuff coming. No Trump put. Sure seems like we had one yesterday. No Fed put. We just had one of the most dovish Fed meetings I've heard in a while. I put, so maybe the sky isn't falling, and you should follow Tom Lee. All right, let's see comments here. I need to refresh real fast too under U.S. economy. Why are bond yields creeping up? I think it's because some of the again the 10-year. Let me just pull it over here real quick. So the 10-year, I think, is still going to drop and roll over, but this is a hedge, right? We just had markets go majorly risk on yesterday, and some of the data that we were seeing wasn't that bad. So it lowers the chance that the Fed is going to cut rates. So this hedge is going to underperform in that environment where you're making a bunch of money on risk on. And if we look over here, we can see that same thing, I'm imagining, in the Fed Watch tool. So if we look at May, yeah, we're down to 10.8% chance of lowering rates in May. So again, if we're doing really good, if you're not seeing a slowdown in the economy, and let's say inflation coming down, so there's still fears of inflation not coming down and it reinflating again. So I think it's a combination of in Fed Bostic, he's a dipshit, he's a political hack, but he just got done saying that we're probably only going to do one rate cut this year. So that Fed official is literally going counter to what we heard from Powell, where he was very kind of dovish and relaxed in his meeting and saying that tariffs probably aren't a big deal and they're probably a one-timer. Instead, we had Bostic, and we might have even had another Fed official pushing a different narrative over the last few days. So when they're saying, hey, we're only going to raise or lower by one, what they're saying is we believe that inflation is going to be higher. We believe that we don't want it to spin out of control. So they're basically talking back what the Fed said completely and utterly. But we look at the trueflation data and we know that inflation isn't the problem right now and that tariffs are a one-time thing. So right now we're seeing that 10-year going up. We're seeing that going up, and that will bring TLT down. And so the hedge isn't doing much right now, but at the same time, though, we did make a bunch of money from the risk-on environment yesterday. So it should be a nice counter. But I might end up adding more to TLT just because, again, we just literally had the Fed. And let me just see. I'll just refresh here. It's in here somewhere. Yeah, right here. Okay. We're going to listen to this real quick. This is Scott Bessent, our Treasury Secretary, talking about what's going to happen with the banking sector. Volume seems fine here. User error. Okay, good.
We are under your direction. We're reprivatizing the economy. We're bringing down government spending. We're bringing down excess employment in the government sector. On the other side, we're going to re-leverage the banking system.
Re-leverage the banking system. So again, that whole, what is it called? Leverage ratio, supplemental leverage ratio. God, some of these terms. So again, they're going to adjust that, and they're talking about like a 30 to 70 bip reduction in the bank lending rate from that. So if we're dropping 50 bips, that's without the Fed doing anything. Okay, this is just Scott playing with some levers to help the banking sector, and that should help with lending too, and easing up on lending, and again reducing rates and making banks feel a lot better about what's going on. Jesse, what percentage of your portfolio do you have in TLT right now? Probably about 10%, maybe. I'd have to do the math again. I wish. It sucks. It sucks working with options, because with options, I have not found, especially across multiple systems, any kind of interface that can connect to the APIs and update portfolio allocations when you're working with options. I can find ones that work with some different companies' APIs, and then Ally sucks too. One of my main brokerages, they don't even have a good API to connect to. So it's just a manual shitty process. But about 10% is about where I'm sitting right now, which is probably right for a hedge. One sec, we're going to finish this up.
We're going to have all the new manufacturing jobs, so everyone who's laid off from the government will have an opportunity to go into the private sector, and that is going to lead to disinflation. Inflation is under control. We're going to get the affordability crisis fixed. So lower energy, deregulation, more private sector jobs that will naturally get interest rates down. Interest rates down. Mortgage rates are down almost every week since January 20th. The energy costs are down about 15% 10%. Crude oil's down about 15%. And as we keep that going, interest rates are going to keep declining. It'll be good for mortgages. It'll be good for credit card debt. It'll be great for auto loans. We are under your...
Yep, and that's what he's going to do. Also, my buddy Seth, he posted Morgan Stanley's chief equity strategist, Mike Wilson, maintained his $6,500 price target for the S&P, overweight financials, industrials, energy, and utilities, underweight the consumer in all styles, 5,500 support holds unless we more severe. So I just added my own little take in here. I actually expect my target's 7,500 this year for the S&P, and I'll just show you kind of from a technical level where I think we are. So today will be a confirmation to me if we're able to break above. If we don't, whatever, we might grind here on the .618, this little bar right here. We might grind down for a sec and then go up, but I actually think we're going to break out today. If we break out above this, then this is a good sign. We're already above the 200 moving average on the daily. And if we can start breaking up and working our way towards like the 5,900 level, that'll be wonderful. But again, we're at a rising broadening wedge, which is technically a bearish pattern. So it could want to pull down. And it's got divergence going back a ways to December of 2023. So we're fighting against that. But all it takes is, a break up. If we got a break up and we start establishing, higher highs over here on the RSI, then it completely dismantles this. If you don't believe me, look at Palantir. I was preaching bullish divergence on 2-year time frames for a while, and then Palantir totally fucked me, and it just kept going up. So it can happen. But I actually think, so what I think is, we're going to have a market melt up. I think between checks, I think between lower tax environment, I think we're going to see the markets go higher and higher and higher, especially with lower energy for base costs, all these positive things that we've been talking about. I think we're going to break up, and I think what we'll do, we'll have some resistance around the 6,500 range that they're talking about. Maybe we tread there for a little bit. And then I think by the end of the year, my number is around this, 7,300 probably level, 73 to 75, something like that. So I actually think I'm more bullish than Mike Wilson, I guess. But that's what I think is going to happen. And we'll see who's proven right. But I just think the macro landscape and I think what we're doing in the United States is really positive, and I think that's going to reflect over time. Would you expect a retest of 5,500? I don't see why. If anything, I would expect that. I mean, that would be more bearish, right? That would be more bearish. We could do it, but if we test that line again, every time we go back to that line, so let me just show you what that looks like. So every time we go back to this, if we go back to this line, like first off, we didn't even touch it, which is great, right? So here we got a contact, here we got a contact, here we got a contact. We do not have one here because it didn't make it that far. That's good. You want to see it not make it. Because every time it touches the line, so if it drops back down and touches the line again, that's bad because it just increases the likelihood that it falls through it. So do I want to see that happen? No. And do I think that's going to happen? No, I really don't. I think we're going to probably go higher. I think we're going to go higher. We're going to get above this line. We're going to find support on the .618, and we're going to go up. That's my take. So we'll see whether or not it happens, but that's what I'm thinking. And again, I just don't see anything. We had a really solid bounce yesterday, and the shorts are hurting. I think they're going to be afraid. They might double down for a day, but that's only going to hurt them more. Tesla inventories in Virginia here are so low. Yeah, there's a lot of companies, guys, where or a lot of locations around the U.S. where I can see us doing better. I want to update this real quick. I should have put 7,300. I'll fix it real fast while I can still do that for the first hour that it's open. Otherwise, it ends up going away. All right, so let me get rid of that. I'll come back to that later. All right, so let's keep rocking through the U.S. economic data. So we got Scott Bessent. We got the Scott Bessent put. I'm actually amazed Tom Lee isn't talking about the Scott Bessent put. He should. I might have to reach out to him. That should be something he's focused on. He should be telegraphing that because it's such a positive thing. But yeah, let's just look here real quick. So my buddy Seth Golden said the closest the 2-year plus bull market rally ever came to expressing a .com-like bubble was as close as the Dallas Cowboys came to winning a Super Bowl since the .com bust. So what he's showing here is August of 1995 to March of 2000. There's the .com bubble. Some people have been referencing like, oh, this is a .com bubble or this is the great financial crisis. They're both wrong for different reasons. But again, looking over here, you can see that the dot-com bubble was a hell of a buildup between 1995 to 2000. And honestly, even if you threw it in the 2020 timeframe, like at the lows of the bear, it would throw this all out of whack and bring it up and then bring it down, and it would just get a little weird. But we're nothing like that. We're nothing like that buildup. And again, you should use kind of the median anyways, where we were before the inflection of the pandemic, because it's an anomaly. So this is accurate, and what it's showing is, if anything, we've got some melting up to do before we turn into a dot-com type bubble. Remember that guy Henrik? Does anybody remember that guy? Wasn't he calling like for an apocalypse by now? I think he was. So let's just, yeah, I gotta look for a second. One sec. I gotta see if I can find this guy and see what this dipshit's up to. So people were like quoting this guy all the time. I hate it when people talk about like, oh, there he is. I hate it when people talk about stock market invincible, buy, talking about like how we're going to hit the end of the world. He also said Tesla was going down to like $10 or some shit. Now he's just posting political posts. Now where are all the charts, guys? Where's the end of the world stuff? I mean, don't get me wrong. I post political posts too, but... here we go. Housing index. Yeah, so he doesn't seem to be very, I don't know, doesn't seem to be very serious about his calls for the end of time. Yeah, looks like it's not. What do we got here? Only supporting line for the economy has been late. Oh, okay, so he is still a bear, but now he's barely even talking about markets. But that guy's funny. I've never got anything of substance out of him, but people follow him like he's a god and a prophet, and I just find it humorous. And he was calling for he was calling for the end of the world the last I checked. I don't know anymore. Henrik is still calling for a blow off top. So the last time I was following him, he was saying that at the beginning of the year we were going to roll over and fall into the abyss. So is he back to we're going straight up again and then we're falling off a cliff? Is that what we're doing? It's funny how everything leads to just a massive cliff. It's almost as if the things that we do, it's almost as if the things that America does didn't matter between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Those two different realities don't actually matter. We always get the same result with Henrik. I just find that funny. I find it funny when real world things happen and change the landscape, the political environment, the financial environment, and we don't even take those into account and adjust our thesis. Those people like that make me laugh hard. All right, let's look here real quick. So bar chart says foreign investors now 18% of the U.S. equity market, the most in history. And I put this will only grow as real Donald Trump's policies progress. And it's true. It will only grow. And somebody else here, let's see. You don't sleep, Jesse. No, I do, barely. Vincent, born in Hong Kong, raised in Hong Kong in Australia, so I think he lives in Australia right now, said, agree, and I'm a minuscule part of that 18%. But he's saying, yes, I agree. It's only going to grow. And he's right. He's definitely right. He's preaching blow off top, then apocalypse. I love how we have to have both of those because they're such diverging things. We have to have a blow off top, and then we have to have the apocalypse. But when questioned why, you won't get a good answer. You won't get a good answer from him, which I find funny. Ryan Detrick, best Monday for the S&P 500 since the bear market ended in October of 2022. That's a fascinating thing. So let's just think about that real quick here. So we had the fifth worst fall in history, and we had the best day since October of 2022, which I find humorous because if you look back over here, that's also where the RSI was at the last time we were this low. So it's almost like you could have seen this coming. It's almost like you could have seen it coming. Did Henrik see it coming? I doubt it. I doubt he did. All right, James E. Thorne, what happens to rents when President Trump's deportation policies kick in? Biden's immigration policy juiced rents higher, flowing through to CPI via shelter. Expected a growth and disinflation scare. Cleveland Fed, new rents, negative 2.43%. So, again, we're going to see, it's going to be fun. We're going to see quite the reduction in rent. Everybody was building out multifamily housing, rental properties all across the United States, probably for all the illegal immigration, and or at least partially because of it. And now that's gone. All right, let me get to, I'm gonna read a few comments in chat here. BGZ, what a team we have with Besant and Lutnick. Oh, dude, they're so good. Anima, they're separated from the banking sector, hence the need for dismantling the entire system, followed by the rug pull. I'm not sure what you mean by the rug pull. JT, BGZ, agreed. I just watched their interview with the All In podcast. Oh, dude, it was so good. We could not have hoped for a more incredible, dude, they're so good. Even just yesterday, and again, I've got my wife working on tools to try and summarize some of these videos so that I can watch it, take my notes, and then boom, I can punch in like what the AI does, and then I can basically add my own thoughts and try and make it to where I do a better job of conveying information from a lot of the content that I watch, because I learn a lot from it, but I don't feel like I'm good enough or spending enough time or using the right tools in order to be able to convey that to you guys in a way that makes it easier for you to understand too without having to watch it all. But just even the cabinet meeting yesterday and listening to Trump have his entire cabinet walk through what they're doing is just astonishing. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's just amazing to listen to. And if you guys aren't listening to this stuff, you really don't know what's going on. History Guy Scalps, would you expect a retail? Oh, that was that. Balek, seems like we need to complete right shoulder on the 10-year. Yeah, it's kind of a right shoulder, right? I agree with that, actually. So it's like a double shoulder almost. But again, it's bouncing right now off the 200 moving average on the monthly time frame. But I agree. We're getting a rollover. Again, just on the monthly time frame, we got lower highs. And we got a bearish divergence that goes back 2 years. Actually, 2022, 2020. Yeah, no, so 3 years. So this will so I do believe that this will break down. I think that this is a more accurate trend for a breakdown than what we're seeing with the S&P. And it might be one of those things where, again, I'm looking to probably add to this because I think we will see the rates roll over. And so if crypto and maybe Tesla take off first, I'm cool with that. I'll just take some of my allocation out of that and then roll some of it over maybe into TLT to increase my hedge. I'm perfectly fine with going that approach. All right, Mike said Tesla inventories here in Virginia are so low. Dinesh, hit the like. I agree. MB, Jesse, do you mean this week or longer term? I don't know what you mean by that, MB. I might have missed the context. Kumar, good morning, Jesse. I know you have sold all your 330 June call options on Tesla, but for those who are holding like me, what is your opinion? Tesla can go end of year or not? It can go a lot higher, but once you get into the money, you're going to lose some of that upside anyways. So I mean, if you're already in the 330s and it's going up a lot, I don't know. Again, your returns are going to be lessened because you're in the money. So you have this combination of intrinsic value and extrinsic value. Intrinsic is the difference between where the strike price is and where the stock actually ends. But then you also have the benefit, if you're in like these 2026 of this time, there's extra padding in there for all the time, which is the premium. So you lose that premium completely by the time you hit that date. So you kind of are fighting against two different things, which is why some people are like previously were asking me why I wasn't pushing it out further, and it was laziness and probably stupidity. But so I don't know. By the end of this year, I think it's going to be between 600 and 900 for Tesla pretty easily. And so I think the numbers are going to be pretty good. But are the 300s, the 330s going to be your best bet for it? I don't know. Probably not. There's probably stuff that would be further out, like if you were in the 450s or something, that'd probably be better. But again, run the calculator and take a look at it and see what it has. It's about 7:30, but I don't think we have any economic data at 7:30. Let me just check real quick. We got Kugler at 7:40. I'll keep an eye on CNBC and see whether or not he's saying anything. Rashab, hey Jesse, morning. I can buy Soul Strategies listed in Canada. HODL is the symbol. I can't buy CYFRF. Is there any difference? I don't know. Yours might be I don't know. I don't know what the one in Canada is. So it's listed as HODL. It's probably just a different container for it, but I don't know the difference between them. You'd have to do some research. No, I haven't even looked. I've only got like 40,000 or 45,000 in Soul Strategies, so I have done very little research. You might want to check. The Patreon for James, Invest Answers, he actually has, oh, you know what? Do we have some data at 7:30? 1 second here. Let me refresh my screen. Tuesday. I don't see. Do I not have this right? Let me see. Nope, I got one. No, okay. Let me just check something real quick. I've got Philly Fed manufacturing. Let me just go over here. We got Rick talking. I want to see what he's got for data.
Philly Fed non-manufacturing data.
But yeah, I don't know. I'll try and do more research on Soul Strategies. But no, I haven't put a lot of time into it. And I don't know the difference between those two containers. And James from Invest Answers is probably one of the best people to look at. He's one of the people that brought this up a while ago, back when I couldn't get into it.
Just hitting the wires, 8 seconds. Rick Santelli, by the time I finish reading.
I don't know why I'm not seeing this.
CME in Chicago. Rick, the numbers, please.
Yeah. You know what? These days, Joe, investors, economists, analysts, they scrutinize every single number. These regional Fed numbers have become even more important. 1 month ago, when this came out at minus 13.1, which was the weakest since the summer, it moved the market 4 basis points. Minus 32.5. Minus 32.5. That would be the weakest going all the way back to May of 2020. May of 2020 to find a bigger negative number. So we will most likely see this have an effect on yields, pushing them a bit lower.
Okay, good.
So we'll give it a little time to simmer. And do keep in mind, if you're looking at a 10-year today, this...
I need to look real quickly. Why am I not seeing this? Am I tripping? Am I looking at the wrong calendar? Let me just see. Recent. Let me just put today. I don't even see this. It must just be revisions that I'm not seeing from this normal index. But that's good. So I am seeing the 10-year drop. It's only up 0.37. It was up like 0.6 or something earlier. And it looks like, I don't know, it looks like the market maybe is ticking up just a hair. So, hey, Jesse, Bitcoin miners ran hard yesterday, but July calls are still down 90%. Any chance to break even? There's a chance to break even, but it needs to move fast, right? So first off, I'm not down that amount because I bought other calls. So I'm down 57%. Still sucks, but 90% is a much worse number than 57%. Now, those particular calls that you're talking about, yeah, they're down a lot. 91%, down 521,000 on those. So that does, again, suck. But the November 2025s at a 20 strike are actually positive for me now, and I've got 284,000 in it. And then I also bought the 25s for July. I haven't bought a lot more of those because, again, I was trying to buy myself more time, and November was a great date. So here's what will happen with this. July isn't that far away. It's April, May, June, and then July, right? So you got about 100 days for these to perform. So if CleanSpark starts to really take off, like, again, yesterday it went up 18%. If it starts to really take off, and let's say we get up in a short order here, we get up to like $13 or something, or by the time we get up to like 16, then the math becomes a lot more positive for being able to hit that within that time frame. Because again, you need to be in the money. You need to be in the money. So the 37s, the chance of getting above 37 well before July is probably hard. It's probably something that is not going to happen. I mean, it's probably just not, statistically, it's probably not going to happen. Could it happen? Fuck yeah. In crypto, if Bitcoin moons up and we're up to $150,000, you might actually be in the money on these, and I would get the fuck out. But again, the intrinsic value is what matters in the end, which is why you want a bunch of time, because what you want is to be above 37. So you're not even looking for 37 by July right now. You're saying you have to be above it to make a lot of money. And so the chance of it climbing 326% is not a great number in that amount of time, in 100 days. That's a big move. Can it do it? Fuck yeah, it can do it. I mean, this thing, it could definitely at least get up to 25. So if you made half your money back by that time, then it might not be a bad idea to roll it out if you haven't been doing what I'm doing and you haven't been buying ones that are further out. Because again, my 25s, that's a much safer bet, right? I got 64,000 in that one. So, and these went up yesterday. I made $120,000 off of them. but it needs to keep going up a lot for that 37 strike to be able to make money. It has to go up a lot. And then again, you probably want to, I'll be dialing out of these first. I can tell you that the 37s will be the ones I dial out of first. Because they're the least likely to perform. The 25s, where I've got 64,000 in that, and then the 20s that are all the way out to November, it gives me tons of time. Those are going to be the ones I'll keep last, those November ones. And then again, the 25s, because the chance of hitting 25, getting up to just the previous high over here in the next 100 days is much greater. Going up 189% is hella easier than going up 323%. So it's just like statistically with the math, the ones that are in at 37 strikes are not as likely of getting up. They just aren't. So again, that's kind of why we do what we do, right? So like even Mara, like look here. So Mara, I'm almost break even with. Let me zoom in a little bit, since I don't look at this too much. MSTX and MSTU, look at this. I'm up a bunch of money just in this one account. I'm up, 240,000 or something like that between these two. And again, I've been selling and then moving into these other positions. But Mara and CleanSpark alone yesterday, I made almost over a quarter of a million when I include my other accounts. So those did really, really good. RG didn't do much of anything yesterday, but again, I've been using the same premise. I've got June's in here and I've got January's. But people are really, options are momentum-based contracts. They want to see things going up. When they go up, it's going to look a lot better.
This is the third session of stacking, meaning this is the third session in a row where we are trading higher than the previous day's high yield. Should we have?
Yeah, I don't think if you're looking for Tesla going to 170, I just don't think you're going to get that, man.
Closed at 4.
I mean, yeah, I just don't think so.
35, right where we're hovering right now. It would be a 1-month high yield close. So we want to pay attention here as we see some buying coming in. Now, the move isn't huge, but we want to really monitor.
Get in precious metals mining, not Bitcoin. Okay. Yeah, I think precious metals are pretty much probably topping right now, right? Like gold is topping. That's why it was down 0.45% yesterday. So that's probably like the wrong approach. Especially when Bitcoin miners are down like 60, 70%. That's probably the wrong approach. You want to do the exact opposite of that.
This, especially should we start testing that 430, 431 area. To me, the resistance here was right around that 4.25 level, so we could come and backfill a bit. But the proof now, I think, is more in the higher yields after we saw the reversal. I know the Trump administration wants lower yields, probably to help housing.
Still don't understand. I don't understand why.
But as I pointed out yesterday,
not seeing this data point.
The last time we were under 6.5% in a 30-year fixed, according to bank rate, was early 23. And the reason I bring that up is the yield curve, 2s to 10s, Joe, has steepened 100 basis points since then. That even makes it tougher to see the long end move down to help homeowners. Back to you.
You got an EV yet? How many cars you got, Rick?
How many cars?
Don't you like
Weird
10
question.
cars?
Leave Rick alone.
Yeah, I like those old cars. I have about 8 or 9 old cars. Nothing that's going to be in a museum, but I like to put on
You
my
have an EV
overall,
Sorry,
yet?
I'm
get a little
That's my
greasy.
question. You got any EVs yet? Nothing.
No. I would no. The only EV I have is a lawnmower, and I don't even like that.
He's an old man, that's for sure. All right, here we go. Just going to move this out of the way. Okay, let's get back on. We haven't done much in the way of news today. Let me get this over here. And yeah, let's keep rocking and rolling. I want to get through all this stuff. Are we chasing again today? I think we could still go up. I think Tesla's looking good. It's up 2% right now. And even MicroStrategy's down 0.36% after a 10.43% run yesterday. Mara ran 18%, and it's only down 0.62% today. CleanSpark ran 18.15% yesterday, and it's only down 0.91% today. So I think that they're starting off the day looking really strong. But if you'll look in the bottom right corner, we need to get above that red line, which is sitting right around, 88,000-ish plus. We want to get above that, and we want to break it, probably 88.5. We want to get above that and then make that run to about the 91,000 range, which I think can happen today. We may have a troll. The shift will happen. Digital dollar backed by precious metals. That's just a dumb take. The digital dollar backed by precious metals. Hey guys, instead of Bitcoin, something you can instantly transfer around the world and have a really quick settlement for a very cheap price, transfer $1 billion, pay $5 in a fee. Instead of using that, you can have a bunch of paper gold that you can transfer around the world without physically moving any of it. It's not easily divisible. I'm sorry, like that stuff just doesn't fucking work. It's an inferior method of moving funds. It's just inferior. And why would anybody want a digital dollar backed by precious metals? That was called the gold standard. That came and went. Okay, that's past tense. Just to be clear. Ryan, they keep telling you how bad the market breadth is, yet as of Friday, 9 of 11 sectors were up on the year. Then look around the globe. Nearly all major markets are up for the year other than the US and India. So again, breadth is actually pretty good is what he's saying there, especially on a global level. I put people are moving money over to European stocks because that's where all the opportunity is. Oh, I think this is the 21st? Oh, this is a few days ago. So let me see, is there anything else we haven't covered? No, we covered it all. Okay, let's get out of this one. Let's get over. I actually want to jump real quickly to Trump. And there's a bunch of things I want to cover here. So I put this 73-year-old woman is about to lose her Medicaid home health care. She's in a wheelchair. Kathy Hochul is stripping away Medicaid from over 100,000 elderly and disabled people, and the media isn't even covering it because they're too busy falsely claiming that Trump and Republicans are cutting Medicaid. This is in New York, the great state of New York. And it's just, oh, I don't have the speed to do it. There we go, fixed. And so it's just ironic to me that they're giving health care to a bunch of illegal immigrants, and then they're stripping it away from people that could literally die. I played one of these videos the other day. It's insanity. Democrats have lost the plot, man. Liberals have lost the plot. And I love this video. I might have played a little bit of another one the other day, but I want to play it again. This is the South African president before Trump started to lean in hard on him. And so I got a theme here. It's the Trump leaning on people and making shit happen. That's the theme. Oh, we got Kugler. We got that retarded bitch Kugler getting ready to speak. All these feds, like 90% of these people are liberal hacks. But I want to see real quickly.
Was the hours I had to spend.
What is this? We don't want to play this. Don't play that. Moving all over the place today. I want to see what he's saying about this real quick. I don't know if we're going to get to hear her speak, but I do want to hear what he's conveying.
Kugler, one of the newest Fed governors, saying she's paying close attention to the acceleration of price increases and higher inflation expectations, striking a bit of a hawkish tone here. She says inflation progress has slowed since last summer and that some categories show inflation has reaccelerated.
All right, let's just say, so she said inflation slowed. The drop of inflation slowed since last summer. So first off, actual inflation data looks great. And let's just go back to this last summer, around 3%. And right now we're averaging about 1.5. So that's the reality of it. It's actually a really great number. It started to go up in December. But again, a lot of that was probably front loading for tariffs. And now it's rolling over again. And we could actually go into it and look at all the details. But that first statement in and of itself tells me this person's a fucking idiot or politically biased.
Mentions goods inflation turning from negative to positive, something that Fed Chair Powell mentioned last week.
Don't you love how they have these Fed speaking? But what don't they have whenever they communicate what the Fed has said? They don't show you charts and data. Why is that? Why can the most brilliant economists on the planet, why can they not show you their message with data points and charts? You ever wonder that? I do.
Week. Short and long-term inflation expectations, she says, have climbed in recent months. Note that she is paying attention to the University of Michigan, whereas other Fed officials are kind of dismissing that rise in the longer end of inflation expectations. Consumer uncertainty, she says, appears tied to trade policy. Now, on policy, she's saying that the Fed can remain at the current rate while monitoring the effects of new policies. She doesn't mention as Powell.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care. Fuck this bitch. Fuck her. Fuck Bostic. Fuck all of them. They're political hacks. And I don't really give a shit about what they have to say. So, all right, let's go back to what we were doing. So, again, South African president, keep in mind, this guy's telling people it's okay to steal the land and murder white people. Okay? That's the world we're living in now in South Africa. These guys, the people in the region, the white people in the region that controlled it, voted to liberate it and give it back to where everybody had a say and that there was opportunity for everyone and that it was more equal. And they get repaid by having their farmland stolen from them and getting raped and murdered. But this is what their president said before, and then Trump's response, and then what he said afterwards. And I find it so humorous. This is what's happening with every leader around the world. They talk tough, then they get neutralized.
Trump must leave us alone.
Leave us alone.
He must leave us alone, Kaori.
You said that you were going to cut aid
So he said Donald Trump must leave us alone.
from South Africa. Will you plan to cut aid across other African nations, and why South Africa?
No, it's only South Africa.
We are committed to having a good relationship with the United States, and we do relate to them in a number of ways. And what has ensued now with the Secretary of State not attending.
Yeah, so again, we didn't attend a summit, and then also we're probably sanctioning and like we're doing all these things. We're gonna fuck these guys as long as they're trying to murder people based upon their race, and that's how it works. And Trump plays hardball. Also, Charlie Kirk posted, this is what we're looking at for the projected 2030 congressional reapportionment. They do this based on population, right? This is how we decide how many seats you get in the House. All right. So the Senate, you end up getting 2 for every state. It's 2 for every state. Yeah, I want to say that. No, one for every state. I don't know. I'm tripping. But the House, they do it based upon population, and so you'll have a lot more people in Congress within the House. So right now, from the reapportionment, we're looking at California losing 4. We're looking at Minnesota losing 1, Wisconsin losing 1, Illinois losing 1, New York, Pennsylvania, and then we're seeing a bunch of red states picking up seats. This is not good for the Democratic. Yeah, okay, 2. It is 2. All right, thank you, thank you. That's what I thought. But yeah, so we're looking at them losing a bunch of seats, and this I think is only going to get worse. This is only going to get worse. So this will be very fascinating to see how it goes. But essentially, they're just getting butchered. Breaking, Postmaster General Louis DeJoy. This guy's a piece of shit. He was appointed by Biden. Has resigned as the USPS effective immediately. So the Postal Service lost the guy who agreed to a contract of USPS, Postal, EV. Postal, EV, who got us like 50 of these fucking trucks. 50 of these retarded looking fucking trucks. What do these things have in it? I don't even know. Can I get the big screen on this thing? It's so ugly. It's so ugly. Anyway, it's got like power steering and shit. But yeah, they didn't produce like hardly any of these, and we spent billions on it. So that dipshit's gone. He was also the one, again, they were trying to do the whole, like, you can vote by mail, you don't need to prove who you are, all this bullshit. He was all a part of that. That's gone. Let's listen real quickly here how Obama mocks the ability for the United States and Donald Trump to be able to get manufacturing jobs back to the United States, which Trump is doing right now. Okay? So if you respected this guy, if you thought he was so brilliant because of how well-spoken he was back in the day, he isn't that brilliant.
And so what we have to do is to make sure that folks are trained for the jobs that are coming in now, because some of those jobs of the past are just not going to come back. And when somebody says, like the person you just mentioned, who I'm not going to advertise for, that he's going to bring all these jobs back. Well, how exactly are you going to do that? What are you going to do?
Maybe deploy tariffs to make a more even playing field for the United States in order to be able to make it toward the working class people that are all taking fentanyl and other drugs because they've had no hope whatsoever of getting jobs and being able to maintain any kind of decent life in the regions they live in because you outsourced all this shit overseas to countries that are hostile towards us. Maybe that'll work.
There's no
seems to be $4 trillion now in dedicated funds coming into the United States to build out manufacturing over the next 4 years.
Answer to it. He just says, "Well, I'm going to negotiate a better deal." Well, how exactly are you going to negotiate that? What magic wand do you have? And usually the answer is he doesn't have an answer.
It was tariffs, bitch. All right. So this is funny. So look at this. Breaking questions taken from the press in the first month of the administration. Obama, 161. Biden, 141. Trump, 1,009. Okay. Also, for all the people that hate Trump, I just want to give you some hope. Just so you know, Trump is 62 days in out of 1,460. So if you're feeling a lot of pain right now, don't worry. You've got a lot more to come. Department of State, there is a zero tolerance for terrorism or terrorist sympathizers in the United States. Those who support designated terrorist organizations, including Hamas, threaten our national security. The United States has zero tolerance for foreign visitors. Somebody in my chat was complaining because they're like, oh, but you're trying to end the war in Ukraine and blah, blah, blah. That has nothing to fucking do with this whatsoever. We're talking about people in this country that are waving flags saying death to fucking America and that they want our values to be gone and they want to replace our fucking society. Okay? Those are the people we're worried about. Okay? We've been paying the bills for Ukraine. We already saved your ass. Okay? We're done with that shit. The war is going to come to an end. But this is our focus. Okay? It's getting rid of the trash that are in our own country. So that's where we're at. Benny Johnson, breaking. Auto giant Hyundai to announce $20 billion U.S. investment. There was a video of this. Trump had a whole announcement. It was great. Again, there's just so much money flowing into the United States. It's crazy. And this is Bill Maher talking about the seats that they're losing in California. Just talking about how it looks like game over for the Democratic Party based on how horribly they're doing. This is EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin just confirmed the $2 billion that Stacey Abrams attempted to extort from the American taxpayer have been canceled. So in case you guys didn't know this, her nonprofit, which had like $15 that went through it, that right there has had, and then the next year in 2024, there was $2 billion all of a sudden deposited right near the end of Biden's presidency so that they could have a bunch of money to be able to fund these NGOs and do whatever the fuck they were going to do. All that money is gone now. Sorry, Stacey. Ada Luke says, this is exactly what Doge wants to end. How can anyone be against this? And it shows this is how government aid works. Only a little bit ever makes it to those who need it. Voluntary charity works much better and with greater efficiency. So again, bureaucrats put out money. Somebody takes a little off the top. The next person does. And then you got some starving child getting a drop of water by the end of it. That is so representative of how this stuff works when it goes through government, from government to government to government with bureaucrats, because they all rape and pillage. That's what they do. Especially when there's no accountability, right? When you don't have lines that are getting filled out indicating what the check is even for, when it's $1 billion or more. That's just insanity. We're fixing all of it. Libs of TikTok. Wyoming just passed a law requiring proof of U.S. citizenship to vote in elections, including federal elections. The only reason anyone would be against requiring proof of citizenships to votes is if they want to cheat in our elections. I don't know if this can get pushed through the reconciliation process. I'll try and do research and figure out if that's true. But I would love to see this. I want to see us at a federal level ensure that our elections are good. Also, here's some fun. Congressman Jim Jordan announces the House Judiciary Committee will hold a hearing to grill Judge Boasberg next week over the activist injunctions and political history. So we're going to start talking. If you're some asshole judge who wants to slow down what this government's doing because you lost a fucking election, get ready to speak in front of Congress about and testify under oath about why you have these problems that you have, where again, you might have a loved one getting paid and benefiting from this, or maybe you're personally benefiting from the thing that you're trying to keep Trump from doing. It's going to be really hard. You're going to be held and accountable for it, and I can't wait. I'm actually going to play this one for a second here.
The broader issue of all these judges' injunctions, and then decisions like Judge Boasberg, what he's trying to do, and how that case is working. We're going to have hearings on all of that. Because particularly when you look at Judge Boasberg, it starts to look like this is getting totally political from this guy, particularly when you remember he's also the judge who was part of the whole Trump-Russia FISA court, granting those warrants that allowed the Comey FBI to spy on President Trump's campaign. So we're going to look at that issue as well. But hopefully we can get that bill passed next week on the House floor, move it to the Senate, hopefully get it to the president's desk.
What do you think you're going to find here? It seems to me like it's pretty black and white. You know, you find the judge that's going to rule in your favor, and it's been going on for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
So to be clear, guys, they are trying to fix this. They're going to have a tribunal of 3 judges that review these kind of things before they get pushed up. And so that tribunal will create more fairness to ensure that we don't have to worry about this happening all the time. And then I don't know the exact date and how easy it is to push this stuff through, but I'm researching it. But then what will happen is that tribunal will have direct access to the Supreme Court. So if anything like this looks like it's going to happen, it'll automatically get pushed to the Supreme Court. And it will speed up the process significantly. It'll also slow down the amount of bullshit that we're seeing.
Why we want to limit it to just that jurisdiction, just the parties of the case, so it doesn't have nationwide implications. But yeah, there's the way the left operates. They go to these judges and they go after President Trump, as the speaker indicated, disproportionately more there than elsewhere. But with Judge Boasberg, think about this. I mean, I think the president, with his order on these gang members sending him back, or sending him to El Salvador, I think constitutionally he's on solid ground. Article 2, Section 1, first sentence, executive power shall be vested in a president of the United States. Statutorily, the Alien Enemies Act, predatory incursion, that's certainly what this was. Gang members coming here illegally doing terrible things. And then finally, you got this judge saying this crazy decision. Turn the plane around, bring the bad guys back to America. That makes no sense. So when you look at all that, coupled with this judge's history with the FISA court, with the sentence he gave to Kleinsmith, the lawyer, Kevin Kleinsmith, who altered the document in front of the FISA court, it really starts to look like Judge Boasberg is operating purely political against the president. And that's what we want to have hearings on, this broad issue and some of what Judge Boasberg is doing. And so we're going to start those next week, and we think Senator Grassley is going to do the same.
Yeah, so I hear you, Joanne. So you said, I love Jordan's hearings. However, it's frustrating as hell when nothing happens post-hearing. So that has been the case for a while, right? Especially when you don't have power. We have power. Republicans have power. They have actually tons of power right now. And that's only going to grow, I think, over the next 2 years. The next election for the House and Senate, I think especially, if you fast forward, 20, 21 months from now, and that happens, I think you're going to see an even stronger allocation of Republicans to the House and the Senate, making it even easier to get stuff done. And Democrats will start to fall in line because they'll know there's such a mandate. If they want to get elected, some of them are going to start folding, and they're going to start working with the popular vote because they're so unpopular. I mean, again, when you get 29% approval, you're pretty fucked, and that's only going to get worse. So this is only going to get better for us. This is only going to get better. I know it's easy to get dismayed, just like CleanSpark going down 70% over a year when Bitcoin has barely went anywhere at all, but slightly up. It's one of those things where it's just like it's easy to get beaten down and to assume the worst, but I would encourage you not to. I think a lot of really good things can happen, and they are happening within our federal government right now. But so Jared said, bought my first Tesla. Amongst all this, it's a great car, and glad I sold some of my Tesla when I did. Yeah, if you sold near the top and then you got a Tesla, that's fucking awesome. Love that hoodie, Jesse. Which hoodie? The one I'm wearing right now? Okay. I got a bunch of them. Kyle, need our friends in Wisconsin to vote correctly for the Supreme Court pick. I've been posting as much as I can about that. We definitely need to do that. I think a lot of people, I've seen Trump posting, I've seen Elon, I've seen other people getting involved. I think it's getting the attention that it deserves. I really hope it is. And I'm trying to do my part, too, just to make sure that people are aware that what they need to be doing. Yeah, anyway, I think that's pretty good here. I think that's pretty good. Can confirm. U.S. Department of Energy Secretary Chris Wright says Trump push to produce more oil is driving down prices. I think that push is going to increase exponentially here soon. I do want to jump real fast over to Tesla. I think Tesla's kind of the focus right now. And I don't, guys, if we go down just a little bit today, I would not get dismayed in any way. It would be perfectly normal. My portfolio yesterday was up 20%. It would be perfectly normal to have a small retrace before going higher. I just want to be clear. That would not be the end of the world. Anyway, so Tesla, breaking. Tesla sales in Europe up 69.8%. Just released number shows that Tesla sold 16,888 vehicles in February, or plus 6,943 vehicles more than January. So again, they had a slower release in January across Europe, across China, across the United States, because they were revamping the Model Y, which is their number one selling vehicle. Cern Basher says Tesla, China, 17th best week since 2022. Production and sales are surging in China. Last week, 17,400 vehicles were registered in China, a proxy for sales. This is 5,700 vehicles below Tesla's previously weekly insured unit from week 38 in 2022. So let's just look here. So 17,400. So again, with the ramp that we're looking at, this is good. We're making up for lost time, and we're starting to see China deliveries versus maximum. I don't know if that's a helpful figure. I don't know if these are visually. Tesla China weekly insured units. Okay, so this is kind of a good chart. So this just shows that it's one of the highest numbers that they've seen. And again, ramping is not easy. The fact that these guys ramped globally over a period of just a couple of months, not even, and that they're up to the run rates that they are right now, I think is beautiful and a really good sign. So again, this person, Chase, said, if you have to explain to members of your political party why they shouldn't vandalize your property, then you're on the wrong political party. Bought in 2020, we stand with LGBTQ+. And then this person said, if I happen to own a Tesla, that thing would be covered in bumper to bumper and liberal bumper stickers and resistant messages. Otherwise, I'd have to sell my car. It's just fucking stupid. This one, Chinese driver owns both a Tesla vehicle with FSD and a Huawei Ioto M9 with ADS. So essentially what they're saying, what he said in here is that the Tesla does a better job. Here's the thing, it can work anywhere, whereas the ADS one has these pre-map LiDAR bullshit. And so it can only run in pre-map zones, whereas a Tesla can run anywhere. Just remember this, when you hear about good news about BYD having 3 different solutions, which is also fucking idiotic, for full self-driving based upon how much you're spending on the vehicle, it just means like, oh, hey, this one, the cheapest one, probably will kill you. The really expensive one probably won't kill you. But again, they all kind of follow the same thing. And BYD, even a couple of years ago, didn't even believe that FSD was a thing. The CEO didn't think it was a thing. And people are trying to tell us now. I just saw a post the other day where BYD is like a leader in this. And it just makes me laugh. These companies are not leaders. This guy said he prefers his Tesla, and with good reason. A bunch of great financing offers out there for Teslas, free supercharging on the Foundation Series Cybertrucks. If you guys haven't bought one, mine are all used up for the year, but I'm sure there's other people with referral codes. These are just great deals, really great deals. Free supercharging for as long as you own the vehicle is a fucking great deal. And for the Foundation Series Cybertruck, you get that too, plus the $7,500 tax credit. I don't know. These are cool. I don't even know. How does this, I thought they were done with the Foundation Series. That must be old. That part must be old. The FBI has a task force now to go after people that are vandalizing these Teslas and that are blowing up dealerships or trying to plant bombs like we recently saw. I love this. Elon Musk, the man bureaucrats fear the most. I think that's just poetic. And again, we had a nice MACD cross yesterday. And so this is a good chart to represent kind of where we could see resistance again. And the trough is right around 330, guys. That's like a magnet. So 330 is the number that Tesla wants to go to, whether it does that today or not. That is the number that it wants to go to, and before it hits any kind of resistance whatsoever. If it wasn't for Elon Musk and X in general, I would have no idea there's an entire political party in South Africa advocating for the deaths of the white population. How is it that not one of the biggest stories out there right now among the mainstream media, right? So she lives in Spain, but again, that's true everywhere. If you weren't on X, would you even fucking know that there's a political party that wants to genocide white people? I don't think so. Need our friends in Wisconsin. Oh, yeah. Nick, apparently you can use the $7,500 tax credit as a down payment. I had no idea. I think that's essentially what it counts as. I think it'll show, because I had that on my bill too. I think it counts as the down payment for the vehicle. Yeah, so you don't even need one. So like when I bought my last 3 cars, it defaults to like putting a down payment in. I changed it to 0. and I still got the same rates. But I was also getting the federal tax credit. This will probably be the only year I'm eligible for it, just because of how much I've withdrawn. But this will probably be the only year. I don't think I'll ever be eligible for it again, which I think it's going away anyway, so that'll be good. But yeah, so you can actually, so if you bought one, not only can you get all the good deals that we were seeing, and a referral credit, and maybe free supercharging if you're buying one of the more expensive models. But at the same time, you can zero out the down payment figure and not have to put anything down. And then if you lease them, they're stupid cheap. I think you can get a Model 3 for as low as $299. It's fucking nuts, man. I think it's a great deal. All right, real quickly, I'm going to jump over to Doge. And how much time do I have? 8:06. So we got about 24 minutes until market open. Let me see. I do believe we had more data. Yeah, let's just look here real quick. So Redbook year over year. Let's see how this went. Redbook year over year, 5.6%, better than the 5.2 that we had last. So again, retail sales, this represents like 80-90% of the retail sales number. That's good, right? Like it's still showing a healthy number. If we go out max here for retail sales, being in this range is very much at the top end when you go all the way back to what, 2005? This is the top end outside of the pandemic mess. This looks really strong for retail sales. So these numbers do not look bad. And real quickly here, let me refresh. It made it go away. It does that sometimes. Does Tesla usually take a long time to give you an appraisal for your current vehicle? I've never traded one in, so I do not know. Maybe somebody else in chat can respond. Let's look. The S&P Case-Shiller Home Price Index was 4.7%. Previous was 4.5. Consensus was 4.8. Forecast was 4.5. So again, home prices are still high. They have their rate of growth has diminished a little bit, but they're still high. And we don't want them to be this high. We want them to be lower. If you look over, like going all the way back, though, to 2012, this is kind of in the median. But again, this large spike over here was much bigger. The spike after the pandemic was much bigger than the drop that we had. The drop was almost non-existent. And so that's bad. That's bad because it means home affordability is almost non-existent. And so we need this to roll over. And it will roll over later. Let me see. I hate it when I zoom in like that because then this next screen looks like shivets. House price index, again, not the Case-Shiller, just another way of looking at it. 4.8%. Again, I'm just going to say this is higher than it needs to be because, again, we have this massive spike after the pandemic. And then we really, in this one, we had no reduction. Prices didn't really fall. The lowest they got was 3.3% year over year, which sucks. We need them to fall. So that's pretty much the housing sector. And again, it doesn't look like we have much more 9 o'clock data, but I won't be here for it, unfortunately. Department of Government Efficiency weekly credit card update pilot program with 16 agencies to audit unused, unneeded credit cards. After 5 weeks, 298,000 cards have been deactivated. As a reminder, at the start of the audit, there were 4.6 million active accounts. Still have some work to do. How many actives do we have now? Did they list that in here? Active purchase card limits. Purchase cards, $1 limit or canceled. Yeah, so one of the things I love that they did, which was brilliant, instead of canceling cards, they gave them a $1 limit where they had to get approval if they wanted to spend more. That was just a brilliant way of reining this in and putting it under control. But this is beautiful. So I don't know the active limit, but I do love what's happening. The Babylon Bee, Elon laughed at this. I thought it was great. It says Elon Musk disguises IRS building as a Tesla dealership, so Democrats will burn it down. I love that. It's not a bad strategy. Elon Musk said no more loans to babies or people too old to be alive, i.e. stolen Social Security numbers. So as of Friday, the Small Business Administration requires a date of birth collection for all direct loan applications. pauses the direct loan process for those under 18 and above 120 years of age. Basic sanity checks. How is this not already fucking in place? How are we giving small business loans to people who aren't adults or older than 120? How is that happening? I would cut it off at 100 without like as far as like instant, and then make it to where it's got to go through some exception process. This is just fucking insanity. This is insanity that this wasn't already there. Let's go back here. I just love what the Department of Government Efficiency is doing. Elon's trolling. What? Doge canceled $699,000 OSU research grant examining cannabis use in LGBTQ plus women. I think they were trolling us. $699,000 is what the original grant was for examining cannabis use for LGBT. So a bunch of high gay women were getting paid to just smoke dope. Cool, bro. I think that's it for this. So again, this is Elon's office. If you guys haven't seen it, he's got a massive monitor and this tiny ass office. This is David Friedberg, and there's Chamath over there hanging out with Elon. He's a very simple man. He's a brilliant man, but he's a simple man, and he works hard for our country, and we greatly appreciate him. And again, just to some of this, I don't even know if I talked about this, but why? Prime Minister urged to call emergency meeting after Trump administration cuts funding to 7 Australian universities. Why the fuck were we giving money to 7 Australian universities? The amount of waste that we have is utterly ridiculous and appalling. Again, I think we're going to break out. Maybe we won't do it today. I don't know, 87,335. It seems like we want to. It seems like we still want to. We're pressing up against it. If you look in the bottom corner, I'll try and make this more visible. It seems like we still want to. Let's see. You can kind of see where it touched up against it. And we broke down a little bit, but now we're wicking and getting a little bit of a candle body. So maybe we still run. Thoughts on coin? I don't really pay attention to coin. I don't know. Is coin, what's the market cap on coin? Can you guys tell me? I just like Hood so much better. This has kind of been my response for over a year, right? Almost 2 years. And back then it was really true when Hood was down near $8. Before it ran up to like 67 or 66, whatever it went to. It was really true. But Hood is like a $42 billion company. I think that coin is like twice that. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I just like Hood so much more. I think Vlad is way better at growing business and figuring out new streams of revenue than Brian Armstrong, personally. Plus all the ETF stuff only pays so well. All right, we're going to try and get through this. BlackRock launched a European Bitcoin ETP today. That's an ETF in Europe. That's good. Hong Kong. So let's listen to this. This is talking about how this is the future of crypto in China. And I think this is talking to some dudes in Hong Kong, talking about how they're changing their ways and they're becoming more friendly to Bitcoin. I think that's very true.
Sort of forward push by Hong Kong at the moment, a sign that trading and crypto could return to the mainland, which of course would be a huge boost for the market.
That's an interesting question. You know, Hong Kong is always the gateway to the Chinese mainland market, and Hong Kong is always used as the lab for experiments, either in economies or in new industries or new sectors. From what we run regulated exchange, regulated funds in Hong Kong. From our conversations with the regulators, I think in a way they are trying their best to use the one country, two systems as an experiment. If it's successful, I think there is the possibility the mainland China government will reconsider their stance.
So that tells me they're not going to do it anytime soon, just the way he's wording this.
What's the crypto and Web3 industry?
Do you think that's inevitable?
Not that they aren't stacking it, but that their political stance isn't going to change. They don't want capital outflows. They don't want an easy way for that to happen. The only way they're going to do that is through Hong Kong, and they make it harder for mainland people to get their money out of Hong Kong.
Do you think the mainland government will definitely bring crypto back, or it's still a wait and see?
You know, for a government to have a clear message, it takes time. From what I know so far, our conversations with the the mainland professionals and related sources, I think they are now looking at the market and see what's going on in other countries, what's happening in Web3 industries, and then they may come up with their response.
Yeah, they're not going to. That tells me they're not going to. Ralph said Coinbase is at $48 billion now for the market cap, so it's a lot closer to Robinhood's now. Somebody said, "What do I think of their gambling business?" I'm not much on just gambling and betting on things outside of markets and Bitcoin, and well, maybe I am, but I actually I think it's just another revenue stream, and it's brilliant. I mean, it's just brilliant. Why let other companies take all this revenue on gambling? Why wouldn't you incorporate that yourself? I don't know. It sounds brilliant to me. What is that? Ralph said coin EBITDA margin 34%. Okay, cool. Yeah. Again, I don't know. I think as far as growing, I think Hood is going to do a much better job at growing. And I haven't done a direct comparison between Coinbase and Hood, but I just know I've been with Coinbase since 2017, and I've seen them do very little to increase their business. I've seen them not really grow much outside of the ETF deals. And again, like just they're getting bigger and they've made some changes to their apps and things, but I just don't see the growth and I don't see the expansion that I see with Hood. I think Hood is way better. I say that as somebody who doesn't have much of a vested interest in saying that. I did because I made over 1,800% on Hood over a period of time with options, watching it go up a lot, right? Like I bought Hood. Let's just look at this over here. I bought Hood and told people we were getting ready to break out. I was buying over here. I was buying over here. And then I made a shit ton of money riding it up. And then I bought down here because, again, it was ridiculous. We went up to 25 or something, and then we went all the way down and back tested the previous resistance level of a multi-year trend. So I bought a shit ton of here in the 14s too. But and then it rode all the way up to 66. So I did really well, but I own Dick for Hood right now because, again, it's not as asymmetric as it was. But you can even see some of the remnants of my old calls here that are up 413%. Or 450%. That's one of them is just a share. Just some dust, just me tracking this to see if there was any really good deals that I wanted to take advantage of. But again, you can see how well this did. It's been ridiculous. But so I don't have a vested interest. This is all I hold in Hood right now, outside of having about $500,000 in investment accounts with them. So, but I still think they're the better product personally. That's just my take. BTC pumping, it looks like it's doing all right, right? 87.6. It looks like if you look in the bottom corner, it looks like it's trying to make a comeback. I think that's pretty good. And Tesla's still up 1.62%. And the proxies are doing all right. MicroStrategy is almost flat. We got the bell in about 11 minutes. Let's keep rolling through this. So I don't think we're going to see mainland China doing anything soon with Bitcoin. They might voice that they're trying to be friendly to this stuff, but I don't think they will be. They don't want capital outflows. Michael Saylor tells Robinhood founder to buy Bitcoin. Vlad Tenev said the great wealth transfer is coming. Saylor said buy Bitcoin. I 100% agree. I think Vlad gets some of that, but he tries to be like agnostic in his approach in discussing it. Quinn Thompson. I actually like Quinn. I don't always agree with Quinn. These guys do the Blockwork stuff and Forward Guidance podcasts, and I like him. I think he's cool. But he said the U.S. federal government owns 7% of total domestic power generation. I didn't even know that figure. But my favorite budget-friendly Bitcoin acquisition idea is to mine BTC with wasted stranded power if there's any stemming from government-owned facilities. This is fucking brilliant. And I've heard zero goose egg fucking people talking about this. Why wouldn't you do some stuff where you work with miners like CleanSpark, Mara, and others, where you have them come in and help with this instead of having peaker plants build out extra facility for energy and then have these guys turning off equipment, companies like Riot turning off equipment to be able to ensure that we don't have wasted energy. So you overbuild, and then if you need it for peaker plants, kill the peaker plants that cost like 10x anyways, and use these guys, and then also have it to where some of that Bitcoin is coming into the federal government and increasing its supply. This just is brilliant. It's just brilliant. I'm very excited about this. This is something that I just don't hear people talking about, but I think it's absolutely insanely smart to go down this path. Only 147 likes. Nobody talking about this whatsoever. But again, it's budget neutral. Why not work with the miners? I think you're going to see some kind of legislation. All the major mining companies are hanging out with Trump. They're all at the crypto summits. You know this is happening. You can do a combination of lowering energy prices through getting rid of peaker plants that are way more expensive and unneeded. And instead, you can use cheaper solutions, lower the energy prices, and have Bitcoin miners bringing in equipment to be able to capitalize. And you can make it to where there's a deal where there's some kind of transfer of Bitcoin as well. And so we're just constantly building our stack. Again, in a day, CleanSpark is doing over 20 Bitcoin. Mara's doing way more than that. Why aren't we doing this? We should totally be doing this. We should be working with these miners, and I think it's going to happen. Michael Saylor said Bitcoin is a magnet for capital. We got 10 minutes until the bell. So this is amazing. Matthew Siegel, recovering CFA. I love that. I actually should be following him. 1 second. Let me just add him real quick here. I love the Van Eck guys. So he said MicroStrategy equals 0.07% of U.S. equities by value, but 16% of all equity raised or announced in 2024. Think about that number. MicroStrategy got 16% of all equity raises, even though they represent 0.07% of U.S. equities by notional value. That's insane. That's insane. It's so beautiful. People are missing these headlines. I just don't think they grasp how important they are. Also, this is another really important thing. We're going to get through this Bitcoin stuff here super fast, okay? Yeah, 23 a day for CleanSpark. Yes, totally. Concord, Vlad is taking a very aggressive approach and is growing Robinhood. It's aggressive, but it's not reckless. It actually, like even the credit card rollout, they slowed down with because credit cards are not easy and they're dangerous. But I just think, again, I don't know. I like what he's doing so far. I really like it. Now, let's listen here real quick. This is important. Tether making more money than BlackRock. Everybody talks about BlackRock being such a big thing. Listen to this.
Tether had more profits last year than BlackRock. Okay. So that in and of itself is like the first light bulb that goes off. You're like, what? Say that again? Like, really? Mm-hmm. Then I think the next point is, well, what did they do with all their retained earnings? Oh, they basically bought Bitcoin with all their retained earnings. What did you say their balance sheet was for like shareholder equity? Oh, it was, however many billions. What's it 4 years from now? It's going to be miraculous to watch the shareholder equity growth of Tether. I can't even imagine what that number is going to be because they're sweeping everything into Bitcoin.
Yeah, 100% agree. Concord just said World Liberty Financial. That is Trump's group, right? Is launching their own stablecoin, USD1. That is brilliant because that's a great segue. So thank you, Concord. Because as we're listening to Tether making more money than BlackRock already, like BlackRock's the big fish, right? And yet Tether's making more money than them. Why wouldn't you have a company that's tied in with a stablecoin issuance in order to be able to capitalize on some of that revenue? Totally makes sense. This is one of the reasons why I don't own PayPal anymore. They had PYUSD and it just wasn't even growing. It's like, how are you not capitalizing on this market? Why are you showing a bunch of commercials with woke ass bullshit from a bunch of hipsters talking about their fucking sales or their stupid fucking products? Why aren't you focusing on PYUSD? Why aren't you focusing on growing your business and just doing all the things that I thought they were going to do, like making their app where it's not a useless piece of shit? And they weren't doing it. But yeah, totally makes sense that World Liberty is doing this. Gemini Knight says, you must have a lot of conviction and or thesis to buy these big dips and or understand that it will go back up and not go to zero. This might sound obvious, but I see a lot of people not doing it. That's because they're pussies. No, I'm sorry. That's because I have, for a very, very long time, pretty much my entire life, been able to see the future. I just was too high and too young and too stupid to do anything about it. I didn't know much about investing. I was interested in it, but I never thought highly of myself when I was young. But I knew Amazon was the future. I knew Google was the future. Like when other people weren't even talking about these or they were just starting to use them, I just knew they were the future. And I was like, holy shit, people are complaining about Amazon and the fact that it didn't have positive earnings, but I could see them taking over everything. they were selling books, and then they were adding more stuff, and they were growing, and I wish I could have went back to my younger self and said, and I knew Apple was the future, and I knew the iPhone was the future, and I would have had the conviction if I knew what I knew now, I would have bought the shit out of all of these and worked like a slave to be able to buy them, because I knew they were the future. And so as the years passed and I kept being right about what the future was, and again, I'm way better at doing my due diligence now than I used to be back then. It's one of those things where I've got huge amounts of conviction because I've done the work. And if you've done the work and you have a history of being right about what is to come, why would you not capitalize on that? And every time I've capitalized on it, it's made me richer, right? If I look over here, I got about 10 minutes until the bell, guys. But if I look over here, it's served me well since 2019, right? And I wish I would have really became serious about investing before that, because I would have done well. 2022 was a shit year, and I still went up by like 50% from 2021 to 2022. And then 2022 to 2023, for my low balances, I was up to 973. Again, it's just like one of those things where you just, hindsight's always 20/20. But when you know that you can predict the future because you can see it better than other people for some reason. And I don't think it's hard. I don't understand why in 2017 people didn't see Tesla. I did. I don't understand why they didn't see Bitcoin. I did. I don't understand why people couldn't see that Hood was a good value or Palantir was a good value at $7. I don't understand how people couldn't think that Meta was a good value when it was in the 80s. I don't understand how people couldn't see the value of Tesla at 100 right before it went up to, back up to 350 or more recently here in the 400s. I couldn't understand that, but I can understand the value, and so that's what I try and do. John Kirby, I asked Lord Flacco if his account got hacked, and he blocked me. I don't know who that is, but it sounds like he probably got hacked. Matthew Purdy, Jesse, with your abilities in macro, have you ever tried futures? Yeah, I don't know. Not really. But I mean, I kind of do, right, in different ways. I just look more towards equities and the assets that I believe are going to be great investments in the future. And then I'm using options, which is essentially like it. I mean, it's a different tool set, but no, not really. Kumar, Jesse, what's our next best asymmetric bet since you're out of Tesla? I'm not out of Tesla, bro. That's what TSLL is. No, I've got 351,000, probably 360 on the bell, maybe 370. So I'm not out of Tesla. I mean, I am heavy into the Bitcoin sector. Again, MSTX and MSTU. I'm heavy into Mara on call options. I'm in Iron now, too. I'm in Sol Strategies from a crypto standpoint. I'm in CleanSpark pretty heavily at 401,000. I'm in ARKG with over 400,000. And I'm in TLT as a hedge with about 350,000. Those are my primaries right now, but I've got actually a lot of different asymmetric bets. The option, I mean, I don't have an option, but this is a 2x multiplier, which is essentially an option. And I've made, I'm up almost 30% in a couple of days. So I think it's kind of an option. Hey, Jesse, have you looked into Oscar? I don't know what Oscar is. You'd have to tell me. What do you think Sol reaches this cycle? We should probably talk about that tomorrow. I need to get through a few more news events, but I do think, well, you know what? Here, maybe I could just pull it up real quick. Let me just drop it over here. And then I'm going to get back to some of this other stuff because I want to move quick, and we've got about 1 minute and 10 seconds until the bell. So I think we found our bottom and sold. This is an indecision candle, but I think it could close by the end of the month here even higher and start to look better. So I think it'll still be indecision, but it'll be on the right side of this fence in the .5. I think it'll be above 150 by the end of the month, maybe even higher, maybe closer to some of these 170 and 180 levels, which would be nice and bullish. But I think it can go much higher. I mean, I think Sol could go to 800, which is why I like Sol Strategies. I think that one can go up a lot too. Real quickly though, let's get back to this. Let's get to the bell, just so we're there for it. And then I want to jump to a few other things really fast.
And it is KB Homer looking at now, but McCormick is MKC. It is
those are the 2 week ones.
Going to be down about 4 points.
Yeah,
87.7 on Bitcoin, guys. It looks like we're trying to break out.
If we're having a slowdown, people are going to cook at home, and you're going to wish you were in it because it's no worse than anything.
I could see restaurants doing worse, DoorDash and shit like that.
That's got the same volume growth that everybody else.
Actually, DoorDash might be a great short. I need to write that down.
The volume growth of the food companies is really terrible. And versus, say, 2007 or 9, where there was growth, there's no growth in these companies. Campbell Soup, there's no growth.
Tech health
Kraft
companies.
Heinz, there's no growth. General Mills, there's no growth. These are really, they're really hobbled companies.
We're going to get some more sentiment data this morning.
There we go. There's the thing. The bells rung.
The bell.
Let's see what the bell.
And the CNBC real-time exchange of the big board, it's tanker vessel operator.
Here's the bell. Here's right before we opened.
Anniversary at the NASDAQ.
Here's right before we opened. And again, I'm going to be bailing it a little bit here, guys, because I got to help with that window tinting. So Tesla leading. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Let's jump over here. Tesla's down to 0.4% up right now, so it looks like it's getting a little bit of retrace on the bell. Let me actually pull that over real quick and just see where we're sitting as far as like technical levels and stuff. Oh yeah, I don't mind that at all. Yeah, we got the dot 618 underneath of us. This is off the retracement. I should fix this. We need to fix this. We need to not be looking at a retracement anymore. And this will be updated in the Discord. Again, when I save these, they get updated in the Discord, guys. So all the channels, whatever stock you're looking at, whatever I've run last, you have that in front of you. I'm going to use this 150 range back up to the recent high, back down to the low. Because we should start looking at it this way, because I don't think we're going any lower, and I don't want to waste a bunch of energy. Let me just see real quick. I need to make sure I draw this in the right place. All right, there we go. Make sure this looks good. Right about there. Okay, that's right. I'll save this. So this is what I'm looking at. So again, I think what we'll see, we'll get up to about the 420, 430 range before we start to hit, before we get, like, that's the golden retracement zone. We could stop over here, meander for a little bit, and then go up. Probably something like a cup and handle, maybe. We could see on this one in the future. It's up 0.71%, 0.4%. It's just bouncing all over the fucking place. But we do have a little baby gap down here on the daily. Well, actually, it's probably not a baby gap. Let's look here real quick. Let's see what the daily has. Oh, no, it's not too bad. It's just a little tiny thing. I don't even know that we're going to hit that. But we'll see what happens with Tesla. We'll see what happens with these others. Let's look at the whole market. Again, today could be like a little retrace day. Just kind of chopping and establishing a baseline before going higher. I could totally see that. But it doesn't look like that for Bitcoin as 87.9 approaches. And if you look at the bottom left corner, that's looking good. So MicroStrategy is actually even up today, 0.21%. CleanSpark up 0.91%. Mara down 0.3%, but doing all right. Iron down 1.6%. Again, I think the Bitcoin holders are going to do the best. Maybe there's renewed life in CleanSpark. It is the most beaten up. So that chart could be getting a lot better here too. But we're seeing Render. We're seeing a lot of shit coins doing well. Solana's up again today. We're seeing AVAX, Render, Matic, Doge, Near. These are a lot of the bigger caps. I like to see that. HIMS is actually up 3% today. That's great. Hood is up almost 2% today. Meta's up today. MSTU's up. Palantir's up. Again, there's a lot of stuff pumping today. I like that look. I really do. I think it's good that we're seeing so much strength. And Tesla, again, some of the biggest runners are maybe not performing as well today. Tesla's kind of flat, but you can't complain about that. You can't complain. After the day we just had yesterday, you can't complain if Trump coin's down 2% or some of these others aren't performing as well. They were rocket ships yesterday. So I think this is perfectly okay and perfectly normal. I'm just going to ride this out. I don't even think I'm going to do any trades. I could have probably cashed out a little bit yesterday. I don't know. I got better things to do. I got a life to live. So I don't know. I'm not really worried about anything right now. Again, approaching closer to 88,000 on Bitcoin right now, guys. That's a beautiful. And now Mara, CleanSpark are all positive. I don't know. We could see more of this. I think AMD is probably going to do really good there. There's probably an asymmetric bet with that one. Short oil. I think oil is going to continue to go lower. I haven't looked at whether or not it's worth shorting. It's near $70 a barrel right now. It could actually go all the way up for oil. It could go up higher still before it hits resistance again. It could go up I don't know. It could go up even to this again one more time. I don't think it'll make it there, though. I think it bounced off, and I'm probably going to kill this because it's too steep of a line. This other one's better. So you can see where it bounced off over here. If we were drawing the line a little bit better, you can see how it bounced off of that, but it's still ugly. What it looks like is kind of like an Head and Shoulders. Like it's an ugly Head and Shoulders, but you can see this is a little bit lower for the peak. Then you can see this one's a little bit higher. You can see it's dropping down. It's going back up. So maybe it does something over here, and then it rolls over, and then it drops even more. So maybe it does something like that, where it goes up, and then it goes down. And that's where we'll really see our breakdown opportunity, I think. Got AMD3. What does AMD3 mean? Oh, is that a 3X fund or something? Victor, I think we need a big pump on BTC to squeeze on CleanSpark. Maybe. It looks like the Bitcoin sector proxies are kind of flat on the day. CleanSpark's still up 0.4%. But yeah, I mean, having a big pump definitely helps everything. There's no doubt of that. It don't hurt. All right, so I got about 4 minutes and I need to bail here. So I think I'm probably going to call it so that I can go with the nephew to get his windows tinted. So I hope you all have a great day. Again, today, maybe it chops for a little bit. If we do get above, if you're looking in the bottom corner, guys, and I'll just pull this to the top real quick for a second. For Bitcoin, if we get above this like 88.4, let's just say 88.5. If we get above 88.5, we'll get our breakout started. And it will be above peak volume on this lower time frame here. You can see where we have this nice shelf. And then it's just a matter of getting to that 91,000 range. So I think, so if you go out here, there's more volume, and you can see how we have a lot up here at 96. That'll be a tough nut to crack. But I think what we'll end up doing is breaking out, getting to 91,000. Then, maybe we have some resistance there for a minute. Maybe we back test. Then we break up and get to 96. And then maybe we chop down to here to 91 again. And then we break out and start heading towards all-time highs. That's my thought process on it. That's like the kind of the ebb and flow of it on the back and forth. But so I'm gonna go do this stuff. I hope you guys have a good day. I know you enjoyed yesterday. Hopefully you have a good day today too. Remember to get out and enjoy life too, and not just look at charts all the time. Otherwise, I will let you guys go, and I will talk to you tomorrow. See you at 7 o'clock bright and early.